A little bit more this morning on the gift of tongues. 1 Corinthians 14 follows 1 Corinthians 13. We can hit the highlights there. Here's the website address. Click on the front page. 1 Corinthians, letter C, all the way down to 14. Here Paul is addressing the abuse by the Corinthians, the misuse of tongues. He starts off with, follow the way of unselfish godly love, especially in the edifying of fellow believers via spiritual gifts. So Christians are to eagerly desire individuals who have certain spiritual gifts to be part of their assembly for its edification. You don't desire the gifts for yourself. Whatever you receive is what God is ordained to give you. Especially the gift of prophecy is to be desired in the assembly. And Paul addresses the abuse of tongues then in the Corinthian assembly in light of his command to treat one another with unselfish, self-sacrificing Christian love, agape love. And he speaks, tongues is to be spoken cognitively to men, not to God. How often has that been violated? The Corinthians' tongue speakers might very well have been speaking to a pagan god otherwise. Tongues is to be spoken so that the speaker and the hearers understand what is being said. This is very clear. Most people ignore this. You have to read through the whole passage, the whole chapter pretty much. The Corinthian tongue speakers were utterly incomprehensible, uttering incomprehensible sounds according to their human spirits, not according to the Holy Spirit. God is not incomprehensible when he communicates to mankind through his word. Proper prayer in tongues, as any prayer requires, that one understand what one prays with one's mind. The same goes for all expressions of the gift of tongues. You just take a look at these passages, these verses, and follow through, point for point. Paul emphasizes and re-emphasizes the superior value of prophecy over tongues. Tongues must provide revelation, knowledge, prophecy, or word of instruction to the assembly. Tongues is always a known language of the world. It says so. Undoubtedly, there are all sorts of languages in the world. How do you miss that? Tongues must edify others and never be unintelligible. The tongue speaker is to pray that he interprets his own message. A special prayer language is not scriptural and unnecessary because the prayers of the saints will be perfected by the Holy Spirit to the Father. So people are misreading Romans 8:26 to 27. The purpose of the New Testament spiritual gifts of tongues it's a sign and a warning to unbelieving Jews of temporal judgment, and it's quoted in 1 Corinthians 14:21. Isaiah 28:11 and 12, very well then, with foreign lips and strange tongues, the Assyrian people who conquered northern tribes God will speak to this people, to whom he said, "This is the resting place, let the weary rest, and this is the place of repose," but they would not listen. See, the death of the Assyrian monarch, Tiglath-Pileser, raised false hopes for freedom. Instead, there was conquering for the northern tribes. You can read this at your leisure. And that's Isaiah 28:11. We're applying this to 1 Corinthians 14:21, a sign and warning to Jews of temporal judgment for a specific disbelief. At this time, it's the southern kingdom and Jerusalem. The purpose of tongues as a general sign of unbelief of Jews and or Gentiles is ruled out. Okay. Follow that chapter and make sure you're speaking with revelation as a sign to unbelieving Jews.